I'm John McBain. I'm sitting with Marianne Headland, the head of the Deaths in Custody Watch Committee in Western Australia in Supreme Court Gardens in Perth. Marianne, it wasn't long since the 20th anniversary of the Royal Commission into Deaths in Custody, the rally up at Parliament House. The idea that we're sitting here on what was Noongar land with the Supreme Court behind us, it must feel very funny to you.
Yeah, well it is. It is. You know, like you've got to look at how many of our people are in custody, and this is Aboriginal land. And you've got Aboriginal people in custody on Aboriginal land, and it's like, well, where's the justice? Because, you know, we had dispossession, you know, with colonisation, and ever since then our people have continued to die in custody. And there hasn't been a justice system that is a justice system, because there's no justice for our people. You know, they get locked up and you've got to worry whether they're going to walk out alive or whether they're going to come out in a coffin.
The recent film documentary by Glenn Stasiak from Kulbadi Centre at Murdoch University, looking at Waiatamak, or I hope I said it correctly, Rottenest Island, as a penal colony, how does that fit into the deaths in custody scenario?
Well, if you look at Rottenest Island, you know, they took people, Aboriginal people from all over WA, and locked them up there, you know, and that's the scene of the biggest deaths in custody, you know, since colonisation. You know, we've had more deaths in custody there than we have on the mainland, and it's just disgusting. You know, if anyone's been over to Rottenest and seen, you know, the dilapidated buildings and all of that, it's just disgusting, and it's so scary. Like, imagine what them mob, being traditional mob back then, felt being enclosed in these little concrete rooms when they're used to being outside in the environment and connected with land, you know.
I remember being asked by a BBC 4 radio journalist in Perth a couple of years ago how many people have been prosecuted for deaths in custody in Australia. I didn't know the answer. Mark Newhouse said there were none. Is that still the case today?
Yeah, like there has not been one successful prosecution of a death in custody in this country, not one. And the closest that we ever got was Doomadgee over in Queensland, you know, and that's been dismissed again. So one of them deaths in custody has to be a crime. Our people, that many people cannot die without suspicious circumstances going on, and that's why we need to have every single death in custody re-investigated.
And what do you think about the comparison between the two legal systems? You've got a multitude of Aboriginal law systems that existed right across this country, and a relatively new legal system represented by the building behind us.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that as a Noongar woman?
Well, it's really frustrating because, you know, they've come here and we've been imposed all of this stuff that we didn't ask for. You know, before colonisation, Aboriginal people lived, you know, a good life and had a set of laws. And what I don't understand is, why don't they incorporate our Aboriginal laws into mainstream? Because I can tell you now, John, a lot of people wouldn't commit half the crimes that they commit if there was Aboriginal tribal punishment, you know, and Aboriginal law going on. So it would, you know, they could work side by side with each other, you know, and there'd be a lot more benefits to the community in general, because if our Aboriginal people are supported the way we need to be, well then the whole community, you know, the whole non-Aboriginal community are supported as well, you know, because we're the ones that are disproportionately incarcerated and dying in custody. So, you know, they need to work along side by side. They can't just come and take this country and not work with the traditional peoples of the land.
You brought up an interesting point. When I think back on it, I've never heard anybody say that the Aboriginal law systems didn't work, but you hear a lot of non-Aboriginal people in Australia claim that our present legal system doesn't work.
Yeah, well, it doesn't work. That's why they're constantly amending legislation.